You're such an asshole.
I play an economist on TV, and even with that rigorous study of playing one on television, I don't have all the answers to economics. And instead of doing the research myself, I decided I'm going to be lazy and throw this question out there for someone else who's an expert in international trade, specifically China, and to a larger extent, India and trading partners, Asian general in the United States. But when it comes to China, we're not at each other's throats just yet, but we ain't bosom buddies either. And what I do not understand, someone in China explained this to me. Someone in China explained this to me. Why are you exporting your stuff to the United States for US dollars? That's what I want to know. Now, I'm not saying your yuan is any better, but I'm trying to figure this out. Wait, hang on. GDP, let me look up GDP per capita. GDP per capita China. I think it's in the teens. Okay, 12,500 US dollars. As an economist, I know the money doesn't matter. Forget the money. I know you make a profit. Remove that. I don't know what you're going to buy with US dollars. I don't know what you're going to get unless you want to buy physical assets over here in the United States or Canada, in which case then I understand. But from an economic perspective, you guys produce literally everything that we consume, or not literally everything, but a lot. Flat panel television and fun stuff, fishing poles, flat panel televisions, this and that and this. The wealth of nations is not the money that you get from that. The wealth of nations is the goods and services you get to consume that you produce. But what confuses me is the Chinese people bust their asses off making all this stuff, not just for the US, but for all the world, and you don't consume your own stuff. You then sell it to fat pig Americans so they can have 5 flat panel TVs and 6 fishing poles. When I look at Chinese GDP per capita, only 12,500, I'm like, why don't you consume it? Why don't you sell it domestically? And I know I must be missing something. I don't know if it's the mercantilist strategy of the CCP. I don't know if oh no, you don't understand. We don't have the infrastructure or what. But it still seems to me that if you're going to produce everything in the world, wouldn't you want your people to consume it first? And then if there was some stuff left over, then you send it to the United States? I think you guys got a lot of surplus of housing, I guess. You're tearing your cities down. Aren't there places to house the flat panel televisions? Why should it go to Europe? Why should it go to the United States? Wouldn't the Chinese people benefit more? And to a larger extent, this is what prompted this question I had. There was a guy from India, and he tunes into the show, and he's cheering on BRICS. He's like, I can't wait. The BRICS are going to be, in theory, backed up by some kind of intrinsic value, maybe a precious metal. Yeah, I would ask India the same thing, roughly the same population. Why would you sell anything, frankly, to any other country? Why don't you just consume it yourself? And don't get me wrong, a lot of, ever since Obama Day, even before that, foreign countries, finance ministers are angry at the United. All you do is print off more money. Why? Because they hold dollars and dollar-denominated assets, and that deflates the value of their international holdings. And they've even said, all you do is print off more money and borrow and borrow and borrow. And I'm like, well, that ends it literally ends the second you say, no, we're not trading with you anymore. We're selling our stuff here. We're going to consume our own stuff. No, we don't want your dollars anymore. And then that's the economic side. But then from the military competitive strategic advantage side, China, I don't, again, I need you guys to answer. A Chinese economist, answer this for me. I would love to tune in. You don't have to fire one bullet to take out the U.S. All you have to do is stop supplying us. Hey, everything is made in China. Everything, like little washers. You could destroy American plumbing by saying, "No, we ain't providing no rubber washers no more. You don't get no seals." Our cars would grind to a halt in about 3 months' time because most of the repairs and the fix-it doodads are made in China. Everything's made in China. If you stop supplying the US for 6 months, we'd go back to the Stone Ages here. We'd have spears and loincloths, and women would be chained up and sold on a slave market. I don't You can make the J-20 if you'd like. You can make a new stealth bomber. That seems an incredibly expensive, though maybe scientifically cool way to arm up and make sure that you're on par with the United States militarily. But if you really want to defeat the United States, you just stop sending supplies. Am I wrong? What am I missing? I must be missing something. I don't know. Maybe my audience has an answer here. Iron, what would you do with someone with an IQ of 145 in the country? I don't know. Are they treating you nice? I'm okay going to a country where people are dumber. Are they sane? Are they treating you nice? Like, are people pooping in the streets? That's because California, people are highly educated, but they're still delusional. I don't know. Are you having fun? Are you enjoying it? Right. We depend on China. China don't depend on us. Because China holds too much U.S. debt. I suspect that inflation in the U.S. is a direct response to the artificial inflation in China that's been going on for decades. All right. Let's say China cuts off the United States. All right. China's holding of dollars goes down to nothing because without all the literally hundreds of millions of things, billions of things we get from China, we can't run an economy anymore. So we can't produce the profits anymore to pay China or service the debt. Well, I'm trying to point out, well, what's the difference? Your dollars aren't going to, unless you're going to come in, like China's best thing to do, and as would be any foreign countries, to take their dollar reserves, start buying up dollar denominated assets, and then say, we ain't supplying you no more. We're going to consume our own trinkets and doodads. We want the crazy bouncy house in the front of our yards. Okay. It's our turn now. They had converted the majority of the US dollar denominated assets into physical assets. So now it's hedged against inflation. China trades their goods for control in U.S. lands, gold, and politics influence. Okay. I still think they'd prefer to consume their own. I gotta have to do the numbers. I gotta imagine they could double their standards of living, stop selling the U.S. stuff that we don't need, and they go consume it. Which Western leaders should have been taking more than they have, but the economy depends on ours and vice versa. That's what I'm saying. Does their economy depend on ours? Here's okay, on the domestic side of thing, the Chinese have no problem printing off money. Why don't you just print off a bunch of money, give it to your people, and start selling domestically? I mean, it wouldn't be as simple as flipping a switch like that. There'd be a transition and all that. I really wonder. Oh, yeah, regarding China. China makes very little stuff that most Chinese people consume. Most of the entire industry is geared toward Western consumer. All right. Okay, you're right. That might be it, Ted. That might be it. $50, $2. Actually, the US would have guns still made here. Right. Okay, we have that one thing. Thank you. All right. I always get a kick, hammer made in America. Oh, great. We got a hammer. We don't have radar. We don't have laser scopes. We got nothing. Our routers, none of our computer equipment, but we make a good hammer. We put a piece of metal on a piece of plastic real good. Made in America. Tower will be hit high for buying. Trying to depends on its customers. Okay, maybe we get the answer there. So, all right. I'm going to go and hike. Enjoy my demo. Listen to a podcast On a phone, no doubt likely made in China, using technology invented in the United States, but provided to us by inventions and materials in China. And that's it. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.